Okay, welcome everyone to the 34th session of Sitecore User Group India. And today we have Amit Kumar, who is working in IT industry since 17 plus years. He is working on Sitecore.net and Azure. And he is awarded as a Sitecore Technology MVP for 2019 and 22. Okay. Uh, he is giving a session on extend analytics reporting with Sitecore xDB data. Where in this session he demo us the ways to extend our Sitecore reporting need with the available offerings from Sitecore Experience platform. Uh, I won't take much time and will hand it over to him. Amit.
Hey, thanks Alok and SUG India for giving me the opportunity. Hey, hi everyone, thanks for joining the session. So in today's session, I will be presenting you about how we can, wait a minute. Yeah, Alok, can you please allow me to share the screen? Yeah, thanks. So in today's session, I will be giving you the overview about how we can utilize the Sitecore Experience platform and their offering to build up a, sorry. So in today's session, I will be explaining you about how we can utilize the existing Sitecore Experience platform and their offering called xConnect, which generally used to capture the user footprint on the website, and how we can utilize that data to build up the reporting. With respect to reporting means that not the Sitecore Experience Analytics reporting with the help of external tools like a Power BI. So agenda is that introduction of the session. Then I will be providing an overview of Sitecore xDB and the xConnect. Then I will be covering or touching upon a xDB data storage, how the data is being stored with respect to a specific user or a contact. And I have identified the ways to access the Sitecore xDB data with the help of a xConnect and the database options. And then I will be providing you the overview of a Power BI integration, how you can do that and bring a good amount of data which you have collected in a Sitecore, right? And create a useful reporting feature. And then we are having a Q&A time. So you can feel free to stop me at any given point of time if you have any queries. So my introduction is already provided by the Alok. So I will be moving to the introduction of the session. So in this session, I will be showing you a ways or with the help of a data flow, how we can achieve the integration with the Sitecore xConnect and get the data out of that. And we can build a full-fledged reporting, because if you are using any type of Sitecore system or building up a Sitecore system, the heart of that system is the content. And all business user and the content authority team always eagerly wanted to know how the data which they have created or published to the website is performing, right? So those information may be not present in the out of the box reporting, but if you are capturing the correct user actions, then you can build up a good reporting out of the Sitecore xConnect. So now I will be moving to the next section where we will be covering about a Sitecore xDB and the xConnect. So Sitecore xDB is a experience database. So prior to the Sitecore 9, we were using the MongoDB to store all the data related to the user's interaction. Now Sitecore 9 onwards, it's moved to the relational database called a Microsoft SQL Server, and there all the data is being pushed. So as you are seeing in this screen, we are having the xConnect collection, xConnect collection search, and xConnect search indexer. So what happened that when you are interacting with the content delivery server, then the request from your front end will go to content delivery server, and then from content delivery, xConnect collection search is being used to push the data to the xDB collection. So there is no other service who can directly access the xDB apart from these. And when the you are using the xDB or a Sitecore CMS to get the experience analytics reporting or a experience profile or a list manager, in those cases xConnect collection search is being used. So these are the two main services which is generally utilized by Sitecore to get or set the data while you are making a call from a CD or a CM roles. So experience platform, as you can see that we are also having a different type of offering from the Sitecore like experience management, right? When you are not more relying on the analytics data and you are trying to build up a more composable type of things, then you can go with the experience management. If you are having a full-fledged Sitecore system and wanted to utilize all the capabilities of the Sitecore, then you can go with the experience platform. So experience platform is having a two sets of functionality like xConnect and the XP services. And we are focusing on the xConnect where the collection, search and the search index and the collection database. These are the things or the building blocks of the xConnect. And it will fetch all the data with respect to the user and fill to the Sitecore experience database. And from there, it is being utilized by the you can say that the processing services, and that data will be aggregated and pushed to the reporting database. So in this flow, if you are seeing that in the left hand side, you are having all the consumer which are consuming the xConnect client API and performing the operations. And in the right hand side, you are seeing the other downstream system within a Sitecore, like a processing, collection, search, and the reporting. These are the different components are present, which are very useful while you are seeing the data into the website or experience analytics reporting. So whenever you will perform any type of user interaction, then Sitecore will collect all the data, and once your session will be ending, then that data will be aggregated to the reporting database, and then only you will be able to see into the Sitecore experience analytics reporting. Before that, it will be not available. So these are the, you can say that the rest of the system components which helps to build up the uh, proper reporting within a Sitecore. Any question till this point? No, then I am
So,
moving
Amit,
forward. Okay.
participants will put a question in comment.
In chat on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. So this is another flow which I already explained, that content management generally rely on the collection service, and rest of the content delivery or other services, like if you are trying to access the xConnect into a kiosk or any type of mobile application in a non-Sitecore context, then you can use the xConnect client API OData endpoint to directly push data to the Sitecore itself. These are the another ways to access the xConnect, and also the supporting component like a reporting database, search indexes, collection database. These are the building blocks of the xConnect system. And prior to 9, the xConnect was a tightly coupled component with the Sitecore, but Sitecore 9 onwards, it's created as a microservices API. So if you are configuring your Sitecore, so you will be able to see that there is a separate node is being created in your IIS server or a web app, and you will be communicating with the xConnect with the help of a certificate thumbprints. So that way we are making a connectivity with the Sitecore xConnect. And while you are setting up a CM and CD, so in both the connection string of a CM and CD roles, you are also mentioning the path of the xConnect client API as well as the thumbprint of the certificate. But if you are implementing a Dockerized solution, so in those cases, you do not need to mention the certificate, because all are working in a same network and the same cluster, so they don't require anything to communicate with each other. So that is the difference between when you are setting up a IIS based or a Dockerized approach. So moving to the next section. So in this section, I will be explaining about the Sitecore xDB data storage, how the data is being pushed by the Sitecore via xConnect API into the database. So if you are seeing in the right hand side, this is a shard database. So by default, Sitecore is providing a two shards. That is a some sort of a, you can say that a mechanism used by the Sitecore to improve the performance. So two shards will be there. That is nothing but a database concept where the replica of a same database will be present, and some data will be present in the shard 0 and some will be present in the shard 1. But those will be not having a data replication, means data will be different. So some contacts will be stored in the shard 0 and some will be shard 1, and you can also increase the shard as per your need. But if you are having 1,000 user load or more than that, also up to 5,000 also, you are easily able to survive with the shard 0 and the shard 1. So in this, if you are seeing that there is a one table called a contact is there. So this is the main table because Sitecore will be storing everything with respect to the contact. That is the main entity within a xConnect, and all data is being stored around this entity itself. So if you are uh, coming to your website or a Sitecore based website, so by default you will be treated as an anonymous user, right? So Sitecore will be collecting data on the basis of that, because if you will see your website, there is a SC Analytics cookie is there, and that is containing a your key, the unique key with respect to a user. So at that time, all the data is being collected with that specific unique key. So once you are having a some sort of a subscription or a registration, and if you have written a code to create a contact or identify a contact, then you are converting your anonymous user into the known user. So that point onwards, Sitecore will be storing or will use the identifier like a email which you are passing as a unique key to identify a user, and change all the mapping from the anonymous to the known user. And during the creation of the contact, you are setting a first name and last name, right? So those details are being stored in the contact facet, and during the registration, once user is clicking on the register button, maybe you are firing a goal to capture that how many users are coming to your website from a different campaign, right? So in those cases, all the data is being pushed to the interaction table. So in the further slide, I will be giving you the snapshot also of the database schema, and also the device profile, how many devices are present and from which device users are coming. So all details are present in the device profile, and interaction facet is also having a some sort of, you can create a page events or those type of custom facets. So all those can be stored in the interaction facet. So if you are seeing here, this is a main core collection model which are provided by the xConnect. So how it is being utilized? If you are making a search into the Sitecore to get a contact via xConnect namespaces or a API, so contact is the main entity and everything around that is being present to you via some sort of a classes itself. So suppose if you wanted to get a specific contact, you will just pass the identifier. Identifier is nothing but a email address of the user, that also can be utilized. And also you can get a data if you wanted to know that if some, how many users have been registered to my website with a specific campaign we have run against a LinkedIn or a Facebook or a any other social media. So these type of filter can be clubbed together with the contact to get a data out of that. And also as I said, that the interaction is the table where all the data related to the user. If you are clicking on any page, or if you are coming to your website with any sort of a campaign, or if you are performing any sort of a page event like a clicking on a search results, all those events, if you are firing, all will be clubbed together in the interaction table itself. So this is the main entity. So if you are trying to build up something in your website or a project where you are going to utilize a more on the xConnect, then it's better to go through this collection or a POCO classes. And this is the snapshot of a contact. So as I said earlier, that contact information. right? All the contact which you are pushing into the Sitecore, so Sitecore will be exposing a ID and the last modified field. So suppose if you wanted to get a contact whose date and time of a registration is less than or equal to something, right? Date time you can get out of this. And also if you wanted to get a users who have provided the consent, you can also get it with the help of a search. And also in the left hand side, if you are seeing there is a personal information facet is there. This is a out of the box facet is there. So here all the out of the box attributes you can attach with the user. So these also can be utilized to get a data out of a Sitecore xConnect. So for example, if you are having any sort of a registration page where you are trying to insert a data related to your employer name, right? Or you are trying to enter a user behavior or some sort of like a favorites items or anything. So in those cases, generally it's better to put all the contact related data within a Sitecore itself. So you can create a custom facets and you can create your own custom facet and insert data within a Sitecore. So that if you need to apply any sort of a personalization rules or a custom rules, so you can build up around that also. So all the data with respect to a user, it's being stored into the facet itself, like a phone number, geo coordinates, address, those details you can push into the Sitecore and your Sitecore contact. And coming to the data, how the data is being stored. So there is a contact facet table is there, which is having the facet key. So with the this facet key is basically a name of your custom facets if you are creating, and also it's a O data type. So prior to Sitecore 9, all the data was a non-relational database into the MongoDB. So in those cases, generally a contact ID was the main entity and stored as a ID, and below that you were having a all sort of facets are as a child element. Now that schema have been changed into the JSON format in the Sitecore 9 onwards, and it's a typed entity. Like if you are seeing here, you are seeing the O data dot type. So this type is nothing but if you are creating any sort of a uh, custom facets within a Sitecore xConnect, then generally you will be creating a classes which will be defining your facets, and out of that you are generating a one JSON files which will be having a complete details about your contact facets. So this is the direct you can say that the facet or the model name. And when you are trying to get a data using the xConnect API, so you need to, if suppose you are having a contact like a contact one, so contact 0 dot get facets, you need to pass the typed name of your facet. So in those cases these values is being utilized by the Sitecore to get data out of your facets. So this data is being stored in the form of a JSON. So if you see that above is the data which is being stored like a O data type, like a personal information facets, email facets, right? And if you are passing a get facet as a personal information or an email address list, then you can put a dot, first name and the last name, you can get the data out of that. But if you wanted to see how the data is being stored in the Sitecore, or is your facet is capturing data correctly or not, then you can use this JSON value query to get data out of that. So you can also access a database to verify it. And I said that there is an interaction table is also there, and that table is also a very important table because all the data with respect to a user journey when they will first hit your website, so all data is being captured within a interaction table itself. So it is having a start, date and time and a channel ID, and these IDs are coming from the Sitecore web database itself. So whatever the goals you are firing, suppose in a specific 1 hour timestamp, if you are traversing, your user is traversing a website, then all the goals if you are having in your website or and a specific event or a pages, so all will be stored as a goal array. So with the help of that, what Sitecore is doing, so suppose if your user have been sign out from your website and data will be aggregated to the reporting database, and now if you will go to the experience profile, So if you will open any specific contact, then there is a activity tab is there. So that activity tab data is built up with the help of this aggregated data, because there you will see a list of the item, like if your user have performed any goal or any campaign or any sort of a page events, everything is being fetched from this interaction table itself. So this is also a very important table. While if you need to check anything with respect to an integration or a campaign, you can also check this table itself. Now moving to the next section, where I will be explaining about a ways to access the Sitecore xDB data, so that if you wanted to build up a reporting which is not the data reporting feature provided by the Sitecore is not useful for you, then you need to rely on the Grafana or some sort of a tools like a Power BI, where you can build up a reporting or a charts, right? Which is very useful for your business user or a product owner. So coming to the Sitecore xConnect or a Sitecore experience platform, so you can access the data out of the Sitecore with the help of a Sitecore xConnect client namespaces, where you are writing a code and which is running within a Sitecore context. And other is that you are having the xConnect OData API, which you can use directly in your JavaScript, or if you are writing a ASP.NET Core based code, there you can also utilize the xConnect SDK, and you need to pass the xConnect client API and a thumbprint to authenticate yourself. There also you can use that, or you can directly access the xDB database to get the data out of that. So these are the three ways you can utilize to get a data. And on the basis of these approaches, basis of these ways to access the xConnect data or xDB data, I have identified these 6 ways which can be utilized to get data out of the xDB. So one thing is that, suppose if you will create some sort of a batch job, or you will create a scheduler which will be running in the Sitecore context, and you will be getting a data out of the xConnect via xConnect namespaces like a get all contacts or a get contacts, or a basis on any condition, and you will orchestrate that data and you will push into your any other database or any sort of a data storage where you wanted to store, like Azure Blob Storage or anywhere, in the form of a JSON file or anything, so that later that you can push to any of the system. That is a one way. In this, what will happen that you need to write a custom code, and also there will be some sort of a load will be coming into your system. And if you are doing any changes every time, you need to deploy a build into your CD server. And second option is that if you are having the xConnect OData client API, and if you are having the flexibility to rely on the other Azure offering, then you can utilize the Azure Data Factory. So what there what you can do that, it is they will provide you the connector. So in those connector you can connect your xConnect API, OData API endpoint, and from there you can fetch the data with the available or methods like a get contacts or basis of any condition, and you can orchestrate that also. And from there you can push to Power BI API itself, or any data storage wherever you wanted to push. That is another, but it's a costly offering. And third option is that if you are having a Power BI subscription, then you can consume a xConnect client API or data API endpoint directly within a Power BI itself. But there what you need to do that you cannot use the uh, thumbprint type of things. So you need to remove the authentication from your OData endpoint, and with it, with your Azure and your Power BI, you need to sorry, xConnect client API, you need to make a point-to-point connectivity, or you need to use the IP filtering, so that you can save your xConnect data from any type of attacks or a security breach. That security mechanism you need to put in your xConnect API. And fourth option is that there is a one more thing called a xConnect client service plugin, which I will be explaining in the further slide. And fifth option is that you will directly consume the xDB database and you will write a code. custom code out of that, and then or you can push that data directly to the Power BI. So I will be covering that in a one of the section. And sixth approach is you will use a runtime data out of the Sitecore experience platform via xConnect client API or a database, and you can push to any message queue based system, which later can be utilized by any downstream system in your enterprise organization. That is also one of the way. So in upcoming slide, I will be taking each of these option, and I will be explaining how we can do that. So I have created a flow. So for example, if you are having a system in your website or a pages where you are doing the registration. So if you are doing the registration, so generally what will you do? You will collect all the data required by your organization or a business user. You will capture from a user and you will send to your IAM system, or if you are having any identity and access management system, you will send to them. So they will take care of all the authentication mechanism. And side by side, you will be sending a all this PI data or info data which is related to user to your Sitecore also to build up a Sitecore contact, so that later you can use a EXM campaign or any sort of personalization rule you need to apply, you can use that. So in those cases, you will be creating a contact and you will be sending to xConnect API. Then that API will push to Sitecore xDB. Now you are having a batch job which will be running in an off business hour or whatever the time period is suitable for your business team. They can run it, and in that you will do the data orchestration, because all the data within a Sitecore xDB is raw data. So you need to get a data like a number of contact and their interaction and their facets data. So all those you need to create in a human understandable format. So that is called a orchestration, right? So that data messaging or the orchestration you will do in this job, and you can push that flat data to your custom DB or any other third party system also out of that. You can do that. So this is the first option. In this case, it will be running within a Sitecore context because you are using the xConnect namespaces, and then you need to write the code which will run within a Sitecore context only. That is a first option. Coming to a second option where all the data, the first flow capturing the data is same, but the way will change. That you will use the xConnect API, that will be a OData endpoint that will be outside of the Sitecore, right? And you will be using the Azure Data Factory connector, and you will fetch the data. And this also you can synchronize that at any given point of time. You need to sync the data, and there also you need to write some sort of a data manipulation you need to do in the data factory, that you can do that. And then you can push to any custom DB storage, or you can directly push to Power BI. So if you are relying on the Power BI API endpoint, so how you can use that? First of all, you need to have a access to the Power BI, and then you need to create a data schema. Data schema is nothing but what type of data you need to store. That schema you need to create in a Power BI, and those schema names you need to pass while making a call to Power BI. So that type of things is a prerequisite if you are pushing directly to the Power BI. And also there is a limitation of a Power BI API endpoint, is that if you are sending a concurrent 300 requests to a Power BI, then it will take a pause for a 1 minute or I think some sort of seconds, and then only it will resume the operation. That is a limitation. So if you are having a very heavy load on your website, and if you try to send directly data to the Power BI, then you need to first check the limitation of that. And third option is that you will directly use the Power BI OData connector. So here you are not calling the Power BI, you can say that the API, but you are directly consuming in that. But there also you need to create the schema, because you are using the API endpoint, which will give you some sort of a POCO classes data or in the form of a object. So how you will store that in a Power BI, you need to create a database schema, that you have to do that. And with the help of that, you can do the data orchestration, because once you will consume all the data, then Power BI is providing you a very uh, easy way to convert your data, raw data, into a human understandable format. So those are the inbuilt capability of the Sitecore, Power BI that you can utilize. This is the option 4. So this is a Sitecore xConnect service plugin. So this is a very good option which you can also utilize. So how it will work, that it is a different from the any of the OData endpoints or a Sitecore xConnect namespaces. So what will happen that, so while you are registering the data and sending the data to the Sitecore via xConnect APIs, right? xConnect namespaces, or calling any functionality like add contact. So it will trigger a event. xConnect will trigger a event. And if you have subscribed that event via pipeline of a xConnect service plugin, then you will be getting a contact ID of that user with the help of add contact. And later, xConnect again will be triggering a event related to the facets. So it can be a contact facets, sorry, it can be a facets, or it can be interaction facets, right? So it will give you the name of the facets which you are trying to set, and also it will pass the contact ID also, for which contact you are trying to add. So what you can do, that at a runtime, you can collect that data into your object or a code base, right? And once all the data is being collected in one of the POCO classes which you have created to create a flat row type of thing, like a contact ID, first name, last name, if you will capture everything, then that data, if you have captured, at the end you can send that back to the any database or any sort of a other data source, like a Power BI API endpoint. That also you can do that. That is also a very good feature of the Sitecore xConnect service plugin. And fifth option is that you are having the data and it's being stored in the xDB. Now you are having the xDB, which is having all the data required by you to build up any analytics reporting based on your content or how user is performing. Either you will access that data directly via a batch job, but what I did that, and I used some created some sort of a POC. So what I did that, I have consumed that directly data into my Power BI dashboard itself. So in this case, what I did that, I have created a connection between a Power BI and my database, and I have created a replica of my all the databases which is required by me to build up any sort of report. So that I will be explaining in a last section. Sixth option is that if your organization is doing a business or client is doing a business in many verticals and they are having a data lake type of things, and every system is sending data to a downstream system, right? So in those cases, you always need to send the real-time data. So in those cases, you can use the xConnect service plugin, or if you are adding or deleting any sort of xConnect data or firing a event, right? So you can send that data to your downstream system, like a message queue system. Here I have depicted a Kafka. So to that you can send, and Kafka is a message queue based system. So what will happen that, so there will be a requester and there will be a consumer, right? A sender and receiver will be there. So in this case, what happened that, suppose your Sitecore is a sender. So in Kafka, you will be having a topics. Topic is nothing but a, you can say that a add user, delete user, those type of a topics you will be creating. And each topic can have some sort of a schema, right? What data you need to send. So suppose Sitecore needs to send a Sitecore analytics data. So what you will do, add contact, right? So you will be passing a contact ID, first name, last name. You will send to that topic, and that data will be residing in Kafka. So in Kafka, you can do the persistent storage or a in-memory storage. You can do that, and there will be a consumer or a receiver will be there that will be continuously listening to Kafka with respect to a specific topic. So in Kafka, it's not like that every topic can be consumed by a number of a receiver, so or a listener. So you can also provide a granular level access that uh, the data which is sent by the Sitecore is being only consumed by the system 1, system 2. So that also you can do in Kafka. So with this, what will happen that suppose if any user of your client is doing the registration in their e-commerce site, right? Now that user is coming to your content driven website and they are doing the registration and they are accessing some sort of a data. Suppose they are more learning about electronics based articles or a technology based article, correct? Now if you are sending that captured analytics to your downstream system, right, like a data lake, so there in data lake generally what we will do, we will create a user persona or a customer 360-degree view. With that data, what they can decide that how they can give or a auto pop-up into their e-commerce site or any system, what are their interests. So that data you can utilize with the help of this Kafka based system. So that is another option to send data. And as I was explaining that I have identified a 6 options, right? So if you are explaining these options to anyone, right? So you need to come up with some sort of a metadata, which is providing a support to your identified option, which one is best for your client. So generally these are the default, you can say that the generic requirement, which is coming in present in most of the integration points or implementation like a performance, security, cost, share capability, upgrade cost, or a real time or a data format, right? So if you are presenting a data to your client or your organization that you have identified these many solutions and which one is best for you, so you can take this as a column and you can put it your numbering as per your experience, or a technical team can discuss and come up with a data point and you can present. So with this, it's very easy for the parties to select which specific or which option is best for them. So that practice you can follow. Now coming to the other section where I will be explaining about how I did the integration with the Power BI. So here I will be providing overview and explaining about steps which you can generally utilize to build up the reporting at a Power BI. So what I did that I have created a 5-step process which can be utilized to build up the reporting. So suppose if any of the option you are getting the data and you are pushing to Power BI. So that is the raw data currently. So nothing is there and you cannot directly use that data to build up a report. So what I did that I have added a step 2, because in Power BI you can define the steps to process your data itself. So in that what I did that in the step 2 I am doing the data messaging at a level 1. For example, I will be having a only a IDs of my goals and those things. I am not having a display name of that. So what I did that I have also did the data replication of a my WebDB, because my WebDB is having all the data related to the marketing or my any of the item, right? So I did a relationship to identify a name of my all the goals and the campaigns, that I did that now. And also I have created some sort of a flat table. For example, all the contact facets related data or interaction facet data are present in a JSON format, but in the Power BI you can select a column and you can do a JSON deserialization. So what will happen that Power BI automatically convert those data into a column or a rows if you wanted. So that level of orchestration I did in step 2. In the step 3, suppose if you are having any unwanted data like a test user and those users, so I have utilized the DAX query, which is a query provided by the Power BI. So I have created a condition like if it is a present as a test email address or a test type of string in a first name and last name, ignore that data. So that type of granular level orchestration I did it in the step 3. And the step 4 is that out of that I have created a data set which is at the end will be utilized to create the reporting. I can drag and drop that fields out of this data set. So now, as I explained that DAX query is there, right? That is very helpful. You can do the entity manipulation or all sort of modeling manipulation. You can do this query. This is a self-explanatory query language. If you will spend some time, you will be able to learn it very easily. So while you are defining those 5 steps, so these type of steps you need to define in a Power BI. This is a screenshot from the Power BI because I am not having access of the main dashboard currently. So I was telling you that in the step 1, I have replicated the data from the Sitecore database. So what I did that, I am having a xDB collection interaction also. This is coming from the xDB collection database. And this is the item. This is coming from my WebDB. And these links, version fields, these are coming from a WebDB. So as I was explaining that, why I did that, because I need to get the display name of my uh, items also while creating the report. Right? So for that purpose, I have taken a replicated my this xDB as well as a WebDB database. And in Power BI, you can also set up a data sync process. So either you can do a syncing every 1 hour, or you can set a specific time frame also when your data needs to be refreshed from a your main source. So with that happen, you are not disturbing your reporting. Why? Because you have created a replication and you already created a data set which is a orchestrated data set. So you are not going to disturb your reporting. So that feature is very useful in this. So now coming to the step 1. So while you will be getting a contact facet from the step 1 raw data, you will be having a contact ID, facets key, last modify, like these things. So in step 2, suppose I have converted that into a deserialize that data, so you can get it different columns out of that. So in the step 3, where I have implemented a granular level data messaging. So what I did that I have created a flat table where I am having a contact ID, first name, last name, department, zip code, contact email address, because email facet is having a email in a email address list. Then email address list is a array, and then you are having a preferred email address and then the SMTP. So from there I have taken all the data from the JSON and I have created a flat column and I have fill into that. So this is the last level of data orchestration which I did that. And after creating the, you can say that a level 4 or a step 4, creating a data set, I will be able to create this sort of a main dashboard. This is the initial dashboard version of a dashboard. So visits and the page view. So you can create a, you can say that the chart where you can get a total till date, right? For with the respect to data which you are present in your raw data set, step 4. With that, you can convert or create a reporting. It will provide you a whole data set which is present in your Sitecore analytics, like this visit and the page views. For those, you need to dig into Sitecore and you need to go to the different sections. But here you can create a single view when it was a peak in your website. So that view you will be not having in the Sitecore Experience Analytics. And now uh, other interesting part is that this metadata, because if you are creating a content driven website or a e-commerce website, so for each and every item you are having the metadata in the Sitecore, right? So that metadata is generally being utilized by your content authoring team to group the data, and on the basis of that they are creating a more content on a specific group. So if you get needs to get a this type of report, like a which specific metadata, like a yoga, running, strength, cycling related data, how they are performing within a site code, that data you can't get it. Why? Because you don't know which page is belongs to which metadata, but that details you can easily get by if you are pushing a, because you are having the page ID, right? And in a with the help of a page ID, you can get a page metadata out of a WebDB, and from there you can fetch all the metadata tag with the help of a relationship in a Power BI. But that granular level reporting, you cannot get it. So that's why we have went with the custom reporting tool, and we have extracted the data from a Sitecore xDB. And this total number of page views, website interaction, and how many times a specific goals have been hit, right? So you need to dig through a goal report to get all these things, right? But here you can get in a you can create a dashboard type of things, and you can get all data in a one screen itself for your business user, and you can provide the time frame filter, and they can filter and they can get it. And this is a user view. So suppose you can filter all the PI data if you wanted. So all data and this type of reporting you can do in Power BI, and you can extract this tables of a data, and you can put any condition. For example, if I need to get a data, or I need to run a campaign where I need to define that how many users have been interacting with the yoga metadata, I need to get that data, right, with respect to a contact, and I need to send to another CRM system, right? Or I need to raise any sort of a, you can say that a campaign with any system or a site chorister, right? Because from here I can create a or get a list of the contact. I again can push into the Sitecore, right? And Sitecore will not override because first name, last name, and email address is same. So I can run a email campaign. So this type of filtering you cannot do with the Sitecore experience analytic reporting. And this is a granular level view of a single contact, like a, how many times that user have been interacted with the website, how many times of page views user have done it, and what is the engagement value. This engagement value is you cannot subtract from the experience analytic reporting with respect to a single user. And also how many times user have subscribes, and how many times user have downloaded the assets and specific assets related details, right? So you can extend this reporting at any level because you are having all the data which you have captured. But to build this type of report, you need to implement a footprint into your website or a event into your website, because Sitecore will not provide the default or out of the box these type of things. So you need to rely on your goals, or you need to write a custom code to do that. So with the help of that, you can create a this type of granular report, and later you can also extend that. And one important thing is that how you will get data out of the Sitecore, that you first needs to identify it, because everything in your application will be depending upon this if you need to rely on the any third party system. So with this I have explained the things which I wanted to cover with it with this session. So I am open for the questions and answer questions.
Okay, guys, do you have any question? Please type it in the chat window. Amit, we will allow them a minute or so.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I think they are not having anything for me. Yeah, but if you are not having currently, but you can feel free to reach out to me at any given point of time. You can ping me on any Sitecore Slack or LinkedIn.
So personal speaking,
It's
I mean, we are having issues with xDB and xConnect, and
hmm,
also for reporting. So uh,
hmm.
this basic understanding will definitely help us. So yeah,
Yeah, because these are the option you can explore,
yeah,
right? Because Sitecore reporting will not help you that much, which you
mhm,
can utilize by the Power BI. Because if you will push the data to Power BI, you can do anything.
agree, agree. So thank you, Amit, for the detailed session on xDB with different scenarios and possible approaches with xConnect API and yeah, Power BI overview of Power BI. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity or having me, right? And feel free to connect with me if you guys are having any sort of queries or anything.
Sure.
Thanks a lot and have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day, man. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.